I don't know if that worked or not. I really don't know. I might not have portrait mode. What the heck, man? No way. There's gotta be something. Because I would imagine it still has a way to set it up, right? Not edit select. I would think that there's a way to set this up correctly. Clearly, I'm wrong. This is all testing right now. That's why I haven't officially started it. It should work. I would have thought there would have already been one. I'm going to check real quick on my own phone just to see what I'm looking at. I see that, which is obvious, but I don't see... Maybe I didn't fully set it up correctly. I would have thought I would have had it right the first time. Clearly, I'm not doing something. Alright, well... I spent the last hour and 20 minutes trying to set up YouTube Shorts. And that's clearly going well for me. You know, I would have thought it would have worked, you know? Seamless transition wouldn't have been fine at all, and of course, no. Why would that ever make any sense? That's not how that works. It's not a thing, okay? Thinking that it's no, that's just not a thing, apparently. I really thought, I guess I'm gonna have to try it again Thursday, and then go from there. But I thought I had it all set up, and I was wrong. My apologies. I was just dead wrong. I would have thought it would have worked. Because I did everything right. Actually, yeah, I would have thought it should. It's got even the same stream key. So, like, why would it be wrong? Dang it. I was this close. We were this close to it being perfect, and yet it's not gonna pan out that way. I would have thought I would have had it. Really would have, you know? I'm missing something there. This is I'm gonna figure this out one way or another. Edit now. Edit settings. Come on, I made you the brain, not Pinky. Listen, there's actually a running theory there, Jay. Hold on, I could figure this out. I still have most of my... See, because I have a plugin that I just got to set up Shorts, and it's just looking at me like, oh, you're bad. You're bad, dude. Like, man, I had this. It might just have to be a put off till Thursday thing. That just might be the play. Why would it not? Silly banana. It should just, unless I'm supposed to not have Twitch on? Maybe that's a possibility, is that I'm not supposed to have it on, like, Twitch, but that doesn't make sense either. Like, I wonder if I just need to have more than one. Maybe that's the... I thought it would have just allowed YouTube and YouTube Shorts to be the same thing, and here I am like, oh yeah, that's wrong. What do you mean, man? What are you talking about? You know what? I'm already what? I'm 4 minutes into this. This is a next time thing. It's officially a next time thing. I'll get it worked out next time. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's prime time. It's the Primetime Podcast, here with your host, Philip White, 7:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm having a water. I have another... Today is... You know what's the tough part about the Super Bowl week? As much as I love the Super Bowl week and all the media that is going on, all of the things that are being talked about, and the lead up to the Super Bowl, it does almost feel like a filler week, right? Because they're trying to throw something like, oh, congrats, they're going to throw the Pro Bowl. I think that's literally today. Nobody's watching that, because you're here. You're here watching this. This is what's important. And considering that we're almost there to the Super Bowl, we're almost there to the final game of the regular season, we're 5 days away from it, I thought it would be fun to look back on this season and ask, how well did these teams perform? How well did teams do this year in this past year rather, in the big 2025 and going into the playoffs? How well did these teams perform? And that's what we're basically going to get into today. Did these teams overperform? Did they underperform? Did they do exactly what? Why is there another one? That is what this. There's two different tiers here. So, I just had to clear that up. Anyway, we're going to be getting into it. We're going to be getting into the expectations for teams. Did they outperform their expectations? Did they blow me away, or did they make me sick to my stomach? Did they make me hurl cheese curds across the living room floor? Did they make my gut gruel? I don't know. Gut gruel, that doesn't even really make sense. Gruel is something you eat. It make my gut explode. We'll go with that. Did they make my gut explode? Did they make my brain explode in a bad way? Did they just make the overall season more insufferable because of how bad they were? I think we should just jump right in. I mean, listen, we got a whole hour to discuss all these team seasons, get an opportunity to reminisce on what was a great season of the NFL in 2025. A lot of interesting teams, a lot of interesting perspectives. I'd be interested to hear your guys' perspective on if you think these teams overperformed, if they underperformed, and we'll of course be getting into all of that. So let's just line her up, let her rip, and let's roll. Starting off with the Arizona Cardinals. This might come as a shock because maybe a lot of people didn't expect the Cardinals to be bad, but I don't know. I feel like Arizona made me kind of want to barf. Did the Cardinals not make anyone else want to barf this year? I mean, they started after the first 2 weeks of September passed, I think the Cardinals won one game against Dallas. That was it. This team sucks. Did they beat Atlanta at one point, maybe? No, I think Atlanta would have won that game late in the season. This team was bad. This team was not very good. It completely... I mean, what was their record by the end? What? It had to be... It couldn't have been... It was 100% double-digit losses. You had James Conner go down in the early of the year. That was sad. You had Jacoby Brissett having to complete 47 passes in a game. I'm pretty sure just to lose. This was a bad year for Arizona. Plus, you had Marvin Harrison Jr. being, second fiddle to Michael Wilson? 3-14. They were 3-14. They blew more chunks than a dog who got in the garbage. They blew more chunks than me 4 weeks ago. I actually don't remember if I threw up 4 weeks ago. I don't know. I'm just rambling. But this was not a good team. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be a great team coming in, but I thought, okay, mediocre, kind of similar to last year, 7 wins. Because remember, they were, 6-4 halfway through last year and then just fell apart towards the end. And now, that game against the Titans, when they lost that game to the Tennessee Titans, it was, okay, the Cardinals are done. There's just no more season after that. That's basically what it was. There was essentially no more Cardinal season after that. It was so over when they lost that game to the Tennessee Titans. The first win of Cam Ward's career being some crazy comeback that 100% shouldn't have happened according to all known laws of football. And yet, it was atrocious. It was bad. It was no good. It was terrible. Marcus saying, hot take, they blew Phil away because of how bad they were. No, they made me want to vomit, Marcus. They made me want to vomit. But thank you for pulling it up, man. Thank you for pulling up to episode 64. This was terrible. Arizona was that bad. You have Kyler Murray, and you have, especially when you had a team that was playing somewhat well halfway through last year, and then we get to this year, and it's oh wow, they're terrible. They're a nightmare. They're a nightmare to watch. Nobody, like, nothing about, no. There's nothing good about them. It was atrocious. And I just could not see it. I would have thought, yeah, sure, 7. I thought 7 wins was doable. 7 wins was too much. Was way too much, apparently. Just a very just, bleh. Very much, very disgusting. Disgusting to see what the Cardinals did this year. The other Redbird team, Falcons, I don't think they were sick to my... There were moments where they made me sick, but I think I look overall, they're kind of upsetting. Because looking back at Atlanta's season, Game 1 of the year, I don't know if y'all remember Game 1 of this past season, I kind of liked when I saw it from Michael Penix. They lost to Tampa, but they looked like legitimate. They looked like, okay, they can compete with a team that made the playoffs last year. And then, then what happened? You know what really happened? They beat Buffalo. That was the big thing for Atlanta. Atlanta beat Buffalo. And everyone said, whoa, watch out. Here come the Falcons beating the Buffalo Bills out of nowhere. And then after that, I don't think won a game. I think they won one time and then were eliminated mathematically from playoff contention. And then won the rest of their games. That's just upsetting. If I'm in Atlanta, I'm pissed. Like how is it you clearly had a team that could put together and string together and win games. This is a team that lost to the Jets. This was a team that, again, think about the entirety of the season. They were 3-9 at one point in the year, or 4-9, just to end up finishing 8-9, winning out and winning meaningless games. So now, I get it, you don't want to lose games, but now your draft pick sucks, and you were tied for the division leaders, but you're still not there. Hopefully things are better this year with Stefanski, but I think this Falcons team significantly underperformed considering the circumstances. Drake London and Bijan and Kyle Pitts. If you said Kyle Pitts had the year he had, and we're all like, wow, Kyle Pitts actually somehow was second team All-Pro in one of the weakest years for tight ends I've ever seen. But his season wasn't bad. It's just weren't very incredibly strong tight ends this year. A lot of them got hurt. Laporta went down early. Brock Bowers was hurt. George Kittle was in and out of lineups. And to see Atlanta be 8-9 and the division winner also 8-9, just... I think Atlanta didn't lose in practically the entirety of December. Yuck, dude. I would not be proud of that if I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. That was a brutal season. The only reason I'd be happy, no more Raheem Morris. I'm happy about that. So good job, Atlanta. You underperformed. You did your thing. Good job. You underperformed. You got rid of one of the worst coaches in the league, and now you got Kevin Stefanski. Okay, congrats. But what an underperformance by Atlanta, just overall. They beat the Bills, and we all thought they were going somewhere, and they just didn't. Baltimore. I'll tell you what. Baltimore underperformed. But they didn't make me sick to my stomach, this Bird team. I know who they did make sick to their stomach. But, I won't mention that. I won't mention who, but I'll tell you what, this team 100% underperformed. This was supposed to be... could you imagine if Lamar was in those playoffs? You'd be like, this might be Lamar's best chance. And, this Ravens team had a losing record. They moved off of John Harbaugh. They couldn't figure out how to get it to Derrick Henry except for one time against the Green Bay Packers. They didn't do it the rest of the season, and I'm sitting here thinking, that's kind of not good that you don't know who your best offensive player is. You think the whole season they had no idea? They had no idea who it was. It was number 22 in the backfield. That's... What are we doing? What are we doing there, Baltimore? They going to fix it this coming year? They going to fix it? What's the take on Baltimore? Does Baltimore actually fix their offensive issues? Because it's very easy. It's the most obvious thing you could have possibly done in the entire world, and they just didn't do it. They didn't do it the entire season. They had every opportunity to do it and just chose not to. What was ever the plan? Was that the whole... At least with Atlanta, you could say, well, they have a lot of You know, they might win in many different ways, but you would still pretty much get the ball to Bijan. You got one option when Derrick Henry's in the backfield. Like, I get Lamar is great and you want to throw the ball. This team was best when they're on the ground and playing good defense, and it's not even close. It's not. It's just not. It's not close. I don't know what to say. Buffalo is interesting. And then when we talk about like a team like Buffalo's interesting because they kind of underperformed also. But I'm going to give you a hot take. This is kind of what I expected. Like, is that sad? That's sad to say that this is just what I expect from the Bills now. Be good enough to make the playoffs, win a playoff game, and then lose in heartbreaking fashion. Or is this what like everybody thought was going to happen? Is the Bills just what everybody kind of had? We all got together. We all congregated and said, but we knew. We knew this is what would happen for the Bills. It was just going to pretty much be, sorry, Dad. Sorry, Josh. I said Dad. Sorry, Daddy Josh. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, Daddy Josh. You're just going to have to suffer yet another awful, heartbreaking loss. And I mean, there are some things that will never change, and this might be one of them. As much as we want to say things should change, this is not. Like, here's what I want to change. New England and Kansas City should stop seeing Super Bowls for 6 years. What also probably should change is the Bills and finally being able to win a Super Bowl. But it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. It looks like we're getting further and further away, and it's not there. It's not there for Buffalo. They just can't buy. They can't get by. They were once and this one the most heartbreaking of all. It's like a end of an era. No Sean McDermott entering the Joe Brady era, which I don't know how many people feel super confident about. It says 50-50. The Ravens get better. They're aging like a New Jersey housewife. Oh my gosh. No one wants to see an aging Jersey housewife. I'm not. They're not even. They're not gonna be. They're gonna be the Baltimore Crows after a while. They're not even gonna be the Ravens. They're gonna be the Baltimore Crows. Then eventually, I don't know. What are some other black and purple birds? I don't know what. Like the burnt turkey. The Baltimore burnt turkeys. That's what we'll go with. That'll be their next big team name. Marcus is saying whatever they were, those compilations of Bills fans after losing to Denver are cinematic things. Every time, like, it's weird to say it. It's like a sadder version of the Dallas Cowboys fan. Because like with Dallas Cowboys fans, like it's like you see them and you can't help but chuckle. Like it's the funniest thing every time. It's like it's that level. Where it's just every time you see him, it's just complete and utter heartbreak. Like it looks on a completely different level of sad, just disappointed, heartbroken. It's such on a different level now with Buffalo. It just keeps going and going, and it just doesn't stop. And it's tough. It's sad, but that's where it is. Where they are right now. Ooh, Carolina, an actual team that exceeded expectations. Wait, hold on. Is this exceeded I'll say they exceeded expectations. I mean, did they? I mean, they made a playoff game and they played better than I thought. So I guess by rule, that's exceeded expectations. But it's one of like the weakest exceeded expectations I've ever seen in my life. Because it's like you won 8 games and won your division and played a playoff game really close. Like when there's a standard for a certain set of team. Like I'm sure Panthers fans are proud of this season and they have every right to be. But there's very clearly a different standard for what teams consider good and what teams consider bad. This is a bad. Like this is not like a very high bar. Like, winning a division with a losing record and then playing a close playoff game but ultimately losing. It's, like, very, very impressive work, Carolina. But it just shows that there was a very low bar to begin with. like anything that happens in the NFC South is generally speaking going to be a rather low bar. It just kind of is. So this to say, anybody doing anything in the NFC South right now is going to be a generally low bar until someone there gets back to the divisional round, like when Tampa did a few years ago with Baker. A couple years ago when they beat the Eagles. But it's just going to be a low bar. There's not much you could do with the NFC South. Like when the Saints win it, or when the Saints or Falcons win it next year, which I think it's going to be one of those two teams, it's like, okay, it's interesting, but like, you know, it's whatever. Not incredibly impressive. Chicago. They got Chicago. I don't think... Now, here's the thing about the Bears. I'm going to put them in this tier. I actually think I was blown away by how good Chicago was. I think the Bears did way better than I think anybody could have ever expected. Caleb Williams was phenomenal. Kevin Byard had 7 interceptions. Nashawn Wright was right alongside him with 6. You had a lot of, like, Colson Loveland coming on as a big receiving threat, right? Probably is, I would argue, their best receiving threat, in my opinion. Manon guy out of nowhere. Like, so much of this Bears team completely stunned and shocked me. From how impressive they were when they were winning to how heartbreaking it was when they would lose. I'm going to give credit to Chicago. I think they actually did do a very good job, all things considered. I mean, Ben Johnson took this ship, got them to a playoff game, and then the crazy Caleb Williams plays we had seen in the playoffs as well as in the regular season. Yeah, that was kind of blowing me away. I really did. I didn't think, in the entirety of regulation between the Rams and the Bears, I didn't think the Bears genuinely had a real shot of winning until literally the last play of regulation. That was it. That was the last play I really felt like the Bears could have a shot to win when they completed that. I was like, oh my God, that's insane to have happen. To be completely honest with you, I'm shocked they didn't go for it in that playoff game. I would have thought for sure, given the shock that the Rams were in, that they would have gone for it. That they would have gone for it on that 2-point conversion and just won the game. Because, like, that was an insane play. Like, in terms of shock, I mean, if you're the Rams there, like, how do you even rebound from that? I don't even know if you do. I would have just gone for 2 and not even gone to overtime, personally. But I mean, obviously, saying that now, it's not the same. But I would still say that's what I would do. Marcus says, generations of fathers and sons not being able to see the team win a Super Bowl is a movie waiting to be written. Ending the great-grandson holding 2 urns sitting with his father. Dad, they did it! Wow. You know, that's crazy that there will be generations, like, teams that are awful, atrocious, that will go for literal generations. Like, think about Cardinals fans, like, Arizona Cardinals fans. Generations of people were born, like, people who were born Cardinals fans, lived their entire lives as Cardinal fans, and then passed away as Cardinal fans and never saw a Super Bowl. Never saw a Super Bowl win. Like, we're at 60, guys. We're at 60 Super Bowls. That means people who are in, like, their 70s or 80s who saw the first Super Bowl and have gone all the way to Super Bowl 60 have not seen their team win one. It is nuts. It is crazy. Think about how long Seahawks fans had to wait to win their first. 48 years. I mean, I don't know. They might not have been around starting in the late 60s. I don't know. I don't know when Seattle was made, so don't quote me on that. That's a long time to be waiting! Jay saying, agree with the Bears. Caleb went from bust to playing out of his mind. I don't know if he was ever in the bust. I always felt, as much as I didn't like the way he played year 1, I didn't think that the bust accusations were fair yet. Just because Matt Eberflus was a dingleberry of a head coach. Like, I never bought in to Matt Eberflus, and anybody who did was just a certified freak 7 days a week. I just don't know what to tell you. Don't be buying into Eberfreak, okay? Just don't do it. And Jay's also saying Cards fans are happy they had Pat Tillman. A Super Bowl is secondary to them. That's true. They did have the great Pat Tillman. But, I mean, okay, if not Arizona, like, how do you think Cleveland fans feel? How do you think Browns fans feel that weren't around for Otto Graham? Like, and not just the fact that they've been so bad in the 21st century, the fact that even the rare times where they were good in, like, the late 80s, it would be, like, heartbreak. Like, Red Right 88, Ernest Biner's fumble. That's just the two of the most devastating playoff losses back-to-back is just something that's so funny. Speaking of Cleveland, they're technically behind Cincinnati, but speaking of Cleveland, I'm going to be honest, they did exactly what I thought they'd do this year. They did. Coming into the season, my thoughts on Cleveland were they're probably not going to be very good. They're going to eventually play Shedeur Sanders. Kevin Stefanski's probably going to be gone at the end of the year. And they're going to beat Pittsburgh at least once, and they were going to beat Pittsburgh at least once. Like, coming into the season, my expectations for Cleveland about that. About 5 wins, nothing crazy, but somehow they're going to beat Pittsburgh and freak out about it. That's Cleveland for you. But they are about what I expected. I didn't think they were going to be, like, 1 win. I mean, I guess the one shocking thing would be Myles Garrett having that good of a season, but, I mean, he was still going to have a good season regardless. 23 sacks would have just not been on my bingo card. What can you say? Cleveland, you were about what I thought. You were about what I thought. And you know who else was about what I thought? Cincinnati. Cincinnati's about what I thought, too, for different reasons. Like, the second, especially when Joe Burrow went down, I'm like, all right. The only thing that they didn't think that they would be having is Zach Taylor still as their head coach. Like, them having Zach Taylor as their head coach still bugs me. If I want to win games, I do not have Zach Taylor as my head coach, period. End of story. Right? Like, it's just, why is Zach Taylor still coaching Cincinnati? But I thought, especially once Joe Burrow went down, they were going to struggle to win games with him. Of course, they were going to beat the Steelers because that's just how we play. We play down the level of our competition. And then they were never going to win another game. And when Joe Burrow came back, people said, they could go on a playoff run. No, they couldn't. They were dead in the water. Not a chance. Not a chance they were sneaking their way in. No way. No way they were sneaking their way in. There was no chance. Marcus saying Cleveland's just happy they have a team. It's the Jets fans saying they would sell the souls of their kids. That worry me. What was There's a clip too of that's not the same context, but there's a clip of 2 Eagles fans like, would you never eat a Philly cheesesteak for the Eagles to go back to back? And there's this short, skinny dude. He's like, yeah, I'd never eat a cheesesteak ever again if I knew the Eagles would go back to back. And this big dude just goes, hell no. It's just so funny. Like, he's not giving up cheesesteaks, man. Oh, but that kind of reminded me right there of that a little bit. The Jets fans, they listen. I mean, at a certain point, you do with the New England Patriots for 20 years in the division, and now they're just back in the Super Bowl. There's some Jets fans that just can't take it anymore. Give away the firstborn. Have a kid give away the firstborn once he's like 18 years old. I think that's fair for a Super Bowl. Just raise a kid for 18 years, send him out, send him to the devil. He had a good child, though. That's all he needs. Jay's asking if they started Sanders all year, you think they would have a better record or the same? It'd be worse. I would say this. I think it would be worse. I just think that the fails would be so much funnier. And I also think it would be an insanely controversial team. Like, there'd be a new controversy every week. Like, if Shedeur started week 1, oh my god. I think it would have been an unfortunate laughingstock. I think, honestly, I'll be honest, I think Shedeur is lucky it wasn't starting earlier in the year because, dude, like, the teams he would have had to play, too, like, I don't think, like, he would have had to play Green Bay early in the year with Micah Parsons. That would have been a disaster. Like, there would have been games in Cleveland's schedule that I think they would have lost if Shedeur. Like, if they played Green Bay, he would have turned it over, I think, too many times, and then Green Bay would have won that game. I think there are moments in the season, maybe some arguable moments where maybe they could have won, I just think at the rate he turned it over down the stretch when he was playing, they just don't win those games. Like, I mean, the game against Chicago, like, that was just a that was a complete travesty, and I think you get more of those games than you get games like against the Raiders. That would be my argument. I think probably some more losses than Jay's also saying the Jets probably drove Fireman Ed to become an artist. Is he? That would be insane. An insane character reversal. Fireman Ed is now super into burning things. He's just a big arsonist. Oh, that would be rough. Poor Jets, man. You know what? No, poor Jets. I don't feel for the Jets fan base. I don't. I'm a hater. I have to maintain my. I have a reputation to uphold. Dallas. Cowboys here. This is interesting. I will say. I'll actually kind of say they did what I thought they would, or at least I think what the majority of people would have thought. I don't think anybody thought they were going to be very good. I think a lot of people maybe undersold a little bit, but like they weren't making the playoffs. They weren't going to go on. Offensively, I think they were better than I think people thought. Like Javonte Williams having a good year was kind of shocking. George Pickens, I mean, maybe not shocking George Pickens did what he did, but it was still, I think, more than I think a lot of people would have given credit for. I don't know. I think a lot of people thought the Cowboys were going to be closer to 4 wins than they were going to be 9 wins, and they were closer to 9 wins. So, I don't know. It's kind of about average. They were about an average total. I thought there's a case to be made they could have arguably done worse. But I don't think Dallas was that bad overall. They're just kind of mediocre. They were weak. They were weak, and I don't think anybody really thought they had a strong chance of winning the division with a new first-year head coach in Schottenheimer. I just don't think it would happen. I think they're about what people expected. Denver Broncos. I'm going to say they exceeded expectations. I don't know if they blew me away, though. Because they won a lot of games, but they weren't like particularly impressive. Like, they had some nice players. RJ Harvey was solid. Hufanga and Greenlaw were big parts of the defense. But overall, I mean, they just won more close games. Right? Like, they weren't dominant or particularly impressive in a lot of these situations. They were just a little better, I guess. You'd say, they were a little better in some of these situations. But I really don't think they did a whole lot to, like, blow me away. They won 14 games. They ended up in the AFC Championship game, which is impressive in of itself. But it just wasn't winning games the way I would have thought Denver would have dominated if you told me they were winning 14 games. It felt similar to Kansas City last year, where they were just scraping by on these wins that were fairly close. That's what it felt like to me anyway. That's what I would say. Detroit Lions. Wow. Wholly underperform. I mean, the fact that they even had... they still had a winning record, but my goodness, I did not anticipate the impact of losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to be that bad. I mean, Aaron Glenn, I don't think you really noticed. The defense felt the same. Just the offense was not nearly as consistent. I would have still thought they would have been a playoff team, though, and they just weren't. They really weren't a playoff team. They felt like an offense that was still trying to get the hang of it, almost. Like, they went back a stage where they were like a developing offense that was getting closer to being a high-level offense versus an offense that was already high-level. And Ben Johnson showed his impact in Detroit the second he left. He was like, I was kind of pretty important over there. You guys kind of forget you're gonna miss me. And I think not having Sam Laporta too with injuries kind of hurt. I think some of the interior of their offensive line not being fully healthy took its toll. Their defense still suffered some injuries at key moments. So it wasn't like entirely their fault, but also like injuries are a part of the game. And the fact is that the Vikings also won 9 games, and we saw how disastrous their quarterback play was. So, I mean, listen, say what you will. It's not going to be good enough moving forward overall. You got to be a little better than that, no? I mean, maybe the Lions will bounce back next year, but there's also, like, they're right at that moment where this is, like, where we have to decide where the Lions window is. Is it open or is it closed? If they teeter to closer to losing, then yeah, it's close. But if they can get back maybe like 11 wins, then you could argue it's still fair, like slightly open. But I think this is a big year for the Lions to determine if it's shut or not. Is that window shut coming into 2026? 2025, definitely underperformed. Green Bay! This is a little bit of a hot, spicy take, but I kind of think Green Bay did exactly what I thought they would. I thought they'd be good. I thought they would find a way into the, into the playoffs and ultimately probably come up short of winning a playoff game. I don't think Green Bay to me the last 4 years and to a lot of people lately feels like the 7 seed merchant. Like they're always there, and yeah, they won once against Dak, but the other times they've just either outclassed or been embarrassed. Like they were outclassed when they were against the Eagles as a 7 seed. They felt that, like when we look at what they happened against the Chicago Bears, yeah, that's not particularly good. I don't know what to tell you. That's just not something you want to be seeing for a team that I don't know what to say. Like you was up, it was what 28-6 at one point, and you blow that lead. Yeah, no, that's not supposed to be happening, and I feel as if there is a very clear ceiling for LaFleur. There's a ceiling where, like, he's good, he's fine, don't get me wrong. But Green Bay's kind of starting to hit that ceiling. And I know a lot of people are like, well, Jordan Love's a top 10 quarterback. People say, Jordan Love's a top 10 quarterback. Borderline. I'd argue he's closer to, like, top 12 or top 13 than top 10. And people be like, what's the difference? I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference in saying that one guy's a top 10 guy fairly consistently, where sometimes he's a top 10 and hovers in more the 12 to 14 range. That's number one. Number two is Green Bay. There are people who will try to convince me, and I don't know why they do this. They'll say, "Oh, Christian Watson, that's the guy. He's their number one wide receiver. He's the guy." No, he isn't. He's not fully healthy. He's not a particularly, he's got one thing. It's a deep ball. He doesn't have much else in his route tree. Name the other time you saw Christian Watson running like an underneath pattern or a slant route or crossing route. No, it is deep shot Christian. It's deep shot Watson. And I think what they need is Matthew Golden to play better as either a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2. But listen, the reality is not, they don't got it. They don't got a wide receiver 1. End of story. They just don't have it. It ain't close yet. They're a little far away for that. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of been Green Bay lately. And they did it again. They did it again. They had another season. Now maybe if Mike is in that game, you can argue there's a difference. But he wasn't. So there wasn't. And there isn't. Texans. Oh, good grief. Houston. Okay, I'm going to say this. Houston... Gosh, Houston shouldn't be in this tier, but they're going to be in this tier anyway. They're going to be in that tier because you know what, they shouldn't be. They really shouldn't be. But they didn't exceed expectations, right? And they didn't, because they won 12 games, which is impressive on one hand. On the other, CJ Stroud sucks. CJ Stroud physically makes me sick to my stomach. On the other hand, their defense played incredibly well. You know what? I'm going to say underperformed. It's a hot take, but I think for a team that's won the wild card round 3 straight years, for 2 straight years prior to this, and then kind of got flattened in the divisional round and had a real opportunity to win against the New England Patriots, and your quarterback just sucks. I think it's just not good. I feel like you have to build upon that. You have to get out of the divisional round, and that would be the opportunity to do it. And the fact that this was their best chance of the 3 to do it is kind of embarrassing. Marcus says 1 up. I don't know if that's the thing though. I don't know if it's what everyone would have expected. Like if I had told you Houston's going to come into this season win 12 games because they're deep. Actually, you know what? The more I say that, it kind of makes sense. Maybe they are. I guess they're kind of on the same path as the Bills, where they're a little bit earlier in that like development process, right? Because they developed over time a little faster. Like Houston rebuilt faster than we thought, so there wasn't like as high of expectation. But now that we're 3 years in to this Houston thing, there's real expectation now. Like, we can't keep sitting here and saying, oh, like, a wild card win is enough. Like, you need to win the divisional round. New England was a great opportunity to get to that AFC Championship game, and the defense very much gave you a chance. Your offense just threw it away. So, where do you go from there is... It's going to be a real question that I think... D'Amico Ryan's going to have to figure out. I think the Texans are going to have to figure out because and I think what's going to be very telling is very simple. CJ Stroud, 5th-year option. You grabbing that? You want that? Because if you don't, then you're gonna run into those same problems. I think you're going to still make a decision where you're going to end up in trouble. You're going to end up in trouble if you end up picking up that 5th-year option. In my opinion, you're going to end up in dino doo-doo. Marcus, we're saying 1-up. Yeah, I feel like it should probably. We can be on the same tier as the Bills. It just feels like the Texans are a little bit more ahead, but also it feels like they're declining, whereas the Bills are just staying at one spot. The Texans are actively losing decent quarterback play. Jay was saying, agree. I expected a deeper playoff run and Stroud playing much better. He has regressed so much since year one. It really started last year, too, and the thing that that kind of got me out of the, like, the thing I think that made people forget how much Stroud regressed year 2 was the playoff game against the Chargers where he drops that fumble and then makes a deep throw and that gets the Texans back into the game and the Texans kind of control it from there. But he never did that in these playoffs. In fact, he did very much the opposite multiple times over. Fumbles and interceptions and turnovers and negative plays. It all amounted to them losing. Like, if he even... Like, let's say he plays the game Drake May played in the AFC Championship game against the Broncos. If he plays a similar game to that, where he doesn't make any major mistakes, you can make a real strong argument Stroud and the Texans just win in New England straight up. And they didn't. He made too many turnovers. And that's why they're not in the playoffs, and that's why New England is in now the Super Bowl. So... Sorry, CJ, just Coleridge. I know he doesn't even know him. Call him CJ. Call him Coleridge. That's his name now. He needs to remember that. He needs to remember that he's being as bad as he is. You can't be called CJ. Colts. Oh, God. You know what? Despite that, what happened at the end of the season, I do think the Colts exceeded expectations. Despite how the season ended, no one thought they were going to be 8-1 with like Daniel Jones at the helm. I think what happened this season, as upsetting as it is for the Indianapolis Colts to have this be what went down, I think you have to give a certain level of, dang, that was kind of impressive. Like Jonathan Taylor, I think Alec Pierce had a very good year being a deep ball guy. Tyler Warren as a young rookie tight end. Daniel Jones playing significantly above expectations. And listen, if Daniel Jones stays healthy down the stretch, who knows what this Colts team could have been. They could have snuck into a playoff spot. They could have had a real shot at it. They were just unable to do so. And it's ultimately unfortunate because I really think because I want to see Daniel succeed. Like, I as much as I rib on him for being in New York, seeing him play well made me pretty excited that he was able to actually shake off some of the problems he had with the New York Giants, seeing him succeed, and then seeing him go down and probably going to get maybe franchise tagged. We'll see what ends up happening this offseason between him and the Colts. But I do think, despite how the season ended, you got to give credit to the Colts because I think they definitely exceeded the average expectations coming into the by far. Like, what they did was very impressive. Speaking of the AFC South and exceeding expectations, Jacksonville. Holy crap. I thought they were great this year. I thought, and again, I've talked about them a lot, but it comes down to they were excellent offensively, despite their best receiver regressing. Like, imagine, and their other number 2 overall pick, who was also supposed to be wide receiver, getting hurt midseason. And they were still excellent offensively. And they played very well against Buffalo. They had a real chance in that playoff game. It's just Josh Allen stepped up and made one more big play than the Jaguars did, and the Bills went on to win. Like, for a year one, and for you, Liam Cohen, 13-4. Like, I predicted them to win the division, but like at 10-7, not 13-4. And the craziest part, they needed to be 13-4 to win because Houston was right on their heels at 12-5. So for what Jacksonville was able to do in this year with a new head coach, with Trevor Lawrence, who a lot of people had written off, to having Brian Thomas Jr. regress, and on top of that, they came in with one of the worst defenses from the previous year. They completely 180'd it this season. I'm going to be honest. If Jacksonville finds a way to win at home against Buffalo, if Jacksonville was able to find a way to win that game, I think the entirety of the playoffs is so much different. I would make a strong case that Jacksonville could be the one in the Super Bowl. That would be my argument, right? I know that sounds kind of crazy, but my argument there being Jacksonville would have been healthier than Buffalo, like going into a matchup against New England. I don't know, man. I think a lot could be different if Jacksonville's able to sneak by Buffalo, but that's just your boy spitballing. But I really think Jacksonville could have had a real shot if they just had that first opportunity and gone on and won that game. That would have been my overall analysis. It's a darn shame. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But we would just have to see where all that goes. Moving along to what would now be Kansas City Chiefs, which we all know they significantly underperformed this year. I mean, listen, I think a lot of people maybe expected them to underperform, but I think to this degree of this past season was a little shocking. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco was basically non-existent. You had, oh my gosh, Pacheco was non-existent. Xavier Worthy gets hurt right out the gate. I mean, you have so many. Travis Kelce clearly regressed once again, right? You just didn't, and the defense didn't play on the same level. Like, players like Chris Jones were not on the same level. Trent McDuffie just didn't look good at times. He was getting basically targeted out there. Teams were going after Trent McDuffie. It just felt like an all-around regression for the Kansas City Chiefs all at once. I think they'll be probably better next year. I think they'll make a couple moves to be better. I don't know if that just guarantees the division win again. But this past season, no doubt, Kansas City did not hold up as effectively as you would have liked them to. And that just is what it is, dog. It is what it is, and it's a darn shame, ain't it? You know what? I'm just realizing. Oh my god. You know what? I just now realized why this isn't working. I think I need to click this button. Did that work? Wait. Oh. Access specified channel. Double check. Okay, well, I'll figure that out later. I don't know. I thought I almost had the shorts working just a second. I just realized I needed to actually click its own individual stream input. I was just reading the buttons, and I was like, wait a second. I don't know. That'll still be something I will fix for Thursday, but I 89% promise. I need to leave an 11% chance, because there's a chance I don't get around to it based on what ends up happening with work. Anyway, I got to keep getting through the rest of these teams, so let's keep going. Chargers. That was pretty much what we all thought, right? Like, at some point midway through the year, we were like, wow, this Charger team still doesn't have a healthy offensive line. It was just going to be if man again. We knew at a certain point of the year, yep, it's going to be the if man again. Here comes Justin if Herbert. And it does suck. Like, that offensive line was, I think, maybe like a bottom 5 unit of all time, which is insane to think. Like, a bottom 5 offensive line in the playoffs, I'll definitely say for sure. Maybe not of all time, but definitely going into a playoff run. And I mean, listen, man, Say what you want about bad offensive lines, but Burrow's been living behind one for 6 years and still been able to make it work, whereas Herbert hasn't won a playoff game still. Still if man over there in Los Angeles with the Chargers. A darn shame. Darn shame for them. Marcus Lawton saying Travis Hunter effect. You know, that's crazy. Like, it was until it wasn't. Like, I feel like they played their best football after he was after he got hurt, which is kind of crazy. They really locked in at a certain point where it's like, all right, we're the Jags. We're going to win 13 games. Let's go. And then Jay saying, imagine if Jags ownership worked about running a wrestling company. Yeah. Ugh. Dude, I wish, because I feel like the Jags are always like this, that they're good like every 7 to 8 years, right? Or like maybe every 4 years they're semi-decent, and then every 7 to 8 years they have like a pretty good year. And this was supposed to be good, man, and I hope that they're back. I really do. Either that or the Titans win the division. Cause I don't know if I want to see the Texans win that division again, knowing CJ Stroud's quarterback play level. And as cool as the Colts would be, I just don't know if it would be Daniel Jones. I don't know if it would have the same magic. Moving along, the LA Rams. Is this being... I wasn't blown away. I definitely thought the Rams could get to the Super Bowl, but I will say exceeded expectations for sure. I mean, they won two playoff games. They kept it really close with the number 1 seed. I'll give the Rams credit. I didn't know if they were going to be... And I think the reason why I'll say exceed expectations as well is probably how well Matthew Stafford did. Like, I think for Matthew Stafford to play at not just a very high level, but at like an MVP caliber level, I think definitely merits exceeding my own expectations, because I didn't even think Stafford would be in real MVP conversations, to be honest. To be frank, I did not think that was possible. Raiders. Yeah, send them down there with the Cardinals. Send them down to prison. Listen, Pete, I love you, buddy, but that was so bad. Geno Smith was atrocious all year. Brock Bowers was very good, but just was never healthy. Do you know what's crazy? I think these two teams have the best 2 tight ends in the league, and look at where they're at. They're at the bottom. That's what having a good tight end gets you. I mean, obviously they were really bad. They had the number 1 overall pick. There were a lot of issues all year long with the Raiders. Geno Smith not playing well. Ashton Jeanty and that offensive line certainly not doing him any favors. Well, I think Ashton Jeanty was good when he played. Geno Smith and the offensive line weren't doing him any favors. It was bad to watch. It was bad to watch on many levels. They ended up moving Jacoby Myers midseason, who was one of the only few bright spots on the team. I understand why they did it, but it still wasn't good to watch the Raiders just be kind of miserable. And just, like, especially when you consider there were people who had actual expectations for the Raiders somehow coming into this year. Yeah, Geno completely fell off the face of the earth, and that was just one of many issues, along with Pete Carroll not really being able to develop a defense that really threatened anybody. Hopefully it's better with Kubiak and Mendoza coming into this next year. Hopefully the Raiders can be a little bit more exciting to watch. Miami. The Miami Dolphins. Here's the thing about Miami. What were the expectations? Like, did anybody really think they could make the playoffs? No. No one thought Miami could make the playoffs. Okay, well then here's where they're going. They made me sick to my stomach. They made me want to throw up. Miami made me gross. Miami Dolphins made me grossed out for a lot of this year. Tua didn't particularly play well. I mean, you know what? Maybe that's not fair. You know what? I think it's a little unfair. They weren't awful in all games. Like, HN was fun to watch. Tua's just always going to be kind of Tua, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know where to put my eye. I just think that's where they were. Because they weren't good. Tua was bad. The only good part of the team was Achane. Tyreek Hill got hurt. Jalen Waddle never was consistent enough to be wide receiver 1. They eventually had to bench Tua for Quinn Ewers. And then we're getting blown out towards the end of the year. So it's like, at a certain point, yeah, this team just kind of swan dived. Or I guess nose dived. Because, Dolphin. Like a dolphin. That was dumb. Forget I said that. Please forget I said that. Yeah, I just think they were underperforming. Marcus saying Henry Ruggs would have saved Geno Smith. Oh my god. Just, it would be like, Ashton Genty up the middle, Ashton Genty up the middle, Henry Ruggs deep ball, incomplete, punt. Like, it would have just been the Eagles offense. Which is so much worse. Oh my gosh. Vikings! You know what? I'm going to say this, because I kind of had a gut feeling coming in that J.J. McCarthy was not going to be, I didn't think he'd be as bad, but I definitely did not have a feeling he would be as good as Sam Darnold, and I was so right. I was so right about this. J.J. McCarthy was a meme. J.J. McCarthy was a meme and was only a meme and probably will only ever be a meme. The Vikings somehow, think about this. The Vikings with J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmer on the year, they still managed to win 9 games. Imagine if they had Darnold. Could you imagine if they had kept Darnold? They could legitimately have been in the Super Bowl if they had kept Sam Darnold. Is that not crazy? Is that not one of the craziest things you've ever heard? They won 9 games. They weren't even last in their own division. The Lions were last in the division. They could have won the NFC North. They could have, and they had just kept Sam Darnold around, and now Sam Darnold's in the Super Bowl, and they aren't. If Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, oh my gosh, Vikings fans are so cursed. But yeah, I didn't buy into J.J. McCarthy at the start of the year. Didn't think he'd be this bad, but definitely didn't think they were going to be good. New England, I'll give them their flowers. I'm shocked they're in the Super Bowl. They blew me away in a bad way, though, because I didn't want them to be this good. But yeah, here they are. New England's in the Super Bowl. Congratulations, Patriots fans. Your what? Your 4-year drought is over. Congrats. Jerks. Now I'm going to be watching the Super Bowl this weekend with some friends, and one of them's a Patriots fan. Oh my gosh. I called it. What'd she say today? She said something funny. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up. Not something funny. It was just something that annoyed me. Let me pull this up real quick. She said, not even worried about it. We show up, we win the trophy. Nothing y'all would know about. And I told her, you're Nancy Kerrigan, the way you're skating on thin ice and your knee is about to get clubbed. Like, I was so heated, bro. Because I think just gotten to work when I said that. And I was like, nah. You're getting the Nancy Kerrigan treatment. This is crazy. How can you keep doing this, man? Can't keep getting away with this. And you have to keep getting away with it. Oh, alright. Next on the docket, the New Orleans Saints. This one's interesting. I actually would make the argument that the New Orleans Saints exceeded expectations. I genuinely thought they would have the number 1 or number 2 draft pick in this draft and look to be drafting another quarterback. But no, it looks like they got their guy. They played well down the end of the stretch. Tyler Shuck looks like a dude that can be their franchise quarterback going into next season. A guy you can go into next season and say, I'm pretty confident in. I'm pretty confident in Tyler Shuck, giving him an opportunity and letting the Saints run with it. I mean, Chris Olave had a great year this year. I think basically was kind of saved by Shuck a little bit. So I was pretty impressed to see that. I thought it was personally pretty dope that the Saints somehow, some way, found a way to exceed expectations, which I didn't even think was possible based on what they were doing coming into the season. Yet, they did. And I'm actually excited to see what the Saints will do going into next year. The Giants. You know what? Is it? No. Man, I don't know. I don't know about the Giants. I don't think they exceeded expectations. I'm just say they were kind of what everybody thought they were going to be. I know some people thought they'd be good. I feel like the general consensus is that New York was going to struggle this year regardless. Because, I mean, you're having a rookie quarterback, a rookie running back. I know there were some moves that were made. But, I mean, I would also say it's not quite their fault. Because, I mean, Neighbors gets hurt, Scadaboo gets hurt, Dart's in and out of the lineup. This is kind of one that's really tough because all of your young talent on offense especially just basically couldn't stay healthy and was having issues staying healthy, yet they were still entertaining. Like, I think, I personally, I won't put them there, because I kind of think the general expectation is that they kind of did what we all expected, but you could make a really strong case that they exceeded expectations given the circumstances. But it's hard to put you there when your head coach and got fired, your defensive coordinator got fired. I think they were about what we expected. Meanwhile, the Jets, hey buddy, get in the bottom. At least the Giants were fun and entertaining. They had some pizzazz. New York had just pizza vomit all over their shoes. The Jets did. The Jets just looked like somebody ate a lasagna whole and then sent it out back up through the top pipe. It was a mess with the Jets. It was so awful to watch. It was all like that game against Denver is a prime example. What was it? There was -9 passing yards that game for Justin Fields. I mean, such a winnable game. Most winnable game they had all year. One of the most winnable that they had a lot of winnable games where they just couldn't put things together. They made me sick. They made everybody sick. Made me want to. Actually, that's actually true. After I got back from the Jets-Steelers game, I was sick for like a couple days. I think I got it from the Jets. I really did. I really did feel like I got it from the New York Jets there. The Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, they underperformed. I know they made the playoffs. They still underperformed. They underperformed all year. The Eagles. They did. Their offense was not good enough. You had a couple players like Jahad Campbell not playing up to typical standard. A.J. Brown was dropping pretty much every single pass. Jalen Hurts was fairly passive. Was not an impressive year for the Philadelphia Eagles. They kind of came back down a little bit from their Super Bowl run and are not quite on the same level. So I would probably say, yeah, sorry. Sucks to underperform, but that's the reality. Meanwhile, on the other side of Pennsylvania, you know who did exactly what I thought they would? Actually, no. You know who did exactly what everyone else thought they would? One and done in the playoffs once again. It's every year. It is Groundhog's Day every year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not even close. Oh my goodness gracious, I can't stand it. I can't. There's some days there's every single year. And it was the same this year. Everyone had expected the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to do exactly that. They were going to go into the playoffs. They were going to skate in, and they were going to lose in embarrassing fashion. And of course, they lost in embarrassing fashion. Unbelievable. Seattle Seahawks. Moving on. Congrats, Seattle. You blew me away too. And I'm New England, I'm upset they blew me away. Seattle, I'm glad they blew me away. I'm glad Sam Darnold's in this. I am glad they have a good young core. I am glad Mike McDonald is this incredible coach. I think it's awesome. I think it's phenomenal that we're seeing. I think it is great that we are seeing it. We need to see more of it. Come on. Get me some more Sam Darnold. Get me Sam Darnold. Get Sam Darnold 2 rings. Go win this one, Seattle, and then go get him another, just to rub salt in the wound of every 2018 QB. That's what I want to see. I don't actually know if I want to see that, but I would love to see it. I think it'd be great. San Francisco. Considering injuries, I think that has to be their response. Because I don't think they were expected. Like, if you told me they were going to lose Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and Brock Purdy was going to play half the year and it was going to be Mac Jones, Brandon Ayuk was just basically going to be non-existent, and you were going to tell me, yeah, the 49ers are going to make the playoffs and win a playoff game against the defending champs, I would have clowned you. But that's exactly what happened, and that has to be exceeding expectations. Like, just no doubt. There's just no doubt. The 49ers exceed expectations. There's no argument to it. How banged up they were, that's a shock for them to be able to do what they did. Ain't no doubt about it. Marcus saying clam chowder bath, win or lose. Oh my gosh. Dude, clam chowder bath, listen, man, I can't, I've seen that so many times where, like, I don't know, what are those? I've never watched them, but, like, there's the thumbnails of those, like, mukbangs, and it's just a bunch of food. Like, I've never, like, doing that with a bunch of people, like, you're hanging out with is one thing. Doing it by yourself is some crazy work, and I speak as, like, a double chin guy. I got a bit of a double chin right now. I can't imagine myself eating all that food. I just can't. It's so much. It's too much food. It's too much food, man. Can't be doing it. And then Marcus calling the Jets the pimple on the anus of the NFL. That's got to be an uncomfortable thing, too. That's got to be so painful to have that. I would hate that. Oh, that is awful. All right, let's see who the final... Ooh, Tampa. Ooh, you know what? Hot take, Tampa. You make me sick. Tampa, you make me sick, and I'll tell you why. You had that. You had that division. You let it go by the wayside. You had the NFC South in the palm of your hand for so long until you let it leave your hand. Oh my God, they won. If the Falcons didn't go on their tear at the end of the year, Tampa would have won the division in the final week of the season against the Panthers, and they let it go out of their hand. That is some sick, disgusting stuff. I'm sorry. But to start the way you did, and the season the way you did, and then to finish it the way you did, you make me want to vomit. So, Baker, Todd Bowles, Emeka Egbuka, Bucky Irving, Vita Vea, Mike Evans, Tristan Wirfs, all of y'all. Levante David, too, even. As much as I think he's a very underrated linebacker. That makes me sick, and I bet you it makes you sick, too, but it does not excuse it. That is terrible behavior. Evil, terrible, revolting, disgusting behavior. Then we got Tennessee. They didn't really underperform. I think they kind of did what we all thought they were. They were going to be a rookie quarterback. They were not going to be gangbusters. They were not going to be doing crazy things this year. Nobody thought they were winning the division. At least from my perspective. Everyone was like, the Colts are a sneaky pick. Jacksonville's a sneaky pick. Houston won the division last year. They'll do it again. I don't think anybody was picking Tennessee. I expected people to think the Titans would struggle without any real offensive firepower in the backfield or at the receiver position, and that's about right. They were about right on that. Tennessee was not there. So, darn shame for the Tennessee Titans. And then finally, for the Washington Commanders, another egregious underperformance. Not to a fault of their QB and Jaden Daniels. I mean, I guess kind of to a fault because he wasn't fully healthy. He was hurt a lot of the season. That being said, I can't really give the Commanders credit. They had too many old guys. They were going into the season knowing they had too many old guys, and when those old guys got hurt and they didn't have young guys to step in and fill the void, they struggled. They struggled mightily. There was just not much there to be able to do, and they struggled. They just couldn't get it done. They couldn't get her done. A darn shame it be, but a darn shame it is, yeah? And there it is. The Commanders finish out the list of sitting there on the list of underperforms. Let me see if I can move my camera out of here so we can get the full list. There it is. There's your full tier list of the teams who performed well in 2025 and the teams that did not perform well in 2025, or the team that performed as you would have expected in 2025. You hope you got your screenshot. You'll never be able to get it again. It's gone. It's gone. Gone for good. I think that's everything for this evening. I will bring the title card back up. That was a mouthful. That was a lot of words coming out of my mouth at rapid fire speed. Okay. So that was Primetime Podcast episode 64. Another little tier list episode. I wanted to have more topics to talk about, but to tell you the truth, I've been trying to run through all the topics at work, and I'm like, dang, I kind of just want to fire off a tier list again. So that's what I did. Fired off a tier list. I've got to get YouTube Shorts set up next time. I'm going to figure out how to do that. I don't know how many things I'm allowed to stream on at once. That might be the issue. So I might run a test stream Wednesday. That might happen. So just be on the lookout. If there is a stream, you don't need to watch it on Wednesday. It's a test. It is most likely a test stream, but you're welcome to free and go in there and clown me as I figure out how to set up basic technology that 15-year-olds know how to do now. You could clown the 23-year-old dude just trying to be hip and cool and young, getting the skateboard. So that's what you're gonna. It's what you might tune into on Wednesday as I try to set up the YouTube short stream. But outside of that, I have nothing else for you guys tonight. Jay saying you got through it and we are all better for it. That is a big hell yeah. Hell yeah, I got through it. We all got through it. And now I get rewarded by going to heat up leftovers because I'm not cooking anything right now. I am not cooking this. Normally I'll make something simple beforehand, but I did not really have anything beforehand. Now I'm going to have to go out and eat, cook, do all that stuff, and also drop off my car at the mechanics because it's got problems. And yes, a little insight into the magical world of Philip White where his car doesn't have. Huzzah! I will see you guys next time. I will see you guys Thursday, potentially Wednesday, while I try to test run this stream and make sure it works for Shorts next time. So, y'all have a good night. I will hopefully see you Thursday. Later, gamers!